think people probably know what simply jet means by now.
I wonder how many people we scared
And
away.
one
Yeah,
comment
that's
if you
what I
want.
was looking. I was, uh-oh, we were 118 yesterday. We're down to 76. Yesterday was a hard class. We we introduced a lot of new terms without explaining them, which is what we had to do to discuss what's in the Abhidharma Kosha. But it won't be like that every time. You weren't supposed to, understand every technical term that's in the Abhidharma Kosha that we threw at you without a
But no,
class.
I'm not sure we have all the translators set up.
It's okay. It's
Can we start our translators here? Okay. Okay, yeah, we can start.
And we will try and keep this class to an hour. This one, it's an easier class today.
Yeah, and I think we may want to have we will think how we will do with interpreters. We realize that if we go beyond 1 hour, it's a little bit challenging.
It's hard for people, yeah.
I am a translator myself. I am translating Geshe Michael and other senior teachers into Russian and Ukrainian, and I know that it is hard when you are over one hour. Okay, let's start with the motivation.
Okay.
Let's close your eyes, sit up straight, and make several exhales and inhales to come into here and now, because our mind wanders and we want to be completely in this moment. And think about your life and the problems that you have in your life. That you would like to resolve. Think how you think this class will help you to resolve your problems. If you will be able to control your mind and your karma a little bit better, do you think that you will be able to solve your problems? And make a decision that you will do your best to implement what you will learn today. Imagine that you will be able to implement it in the perfect way, and it will not only change your life, but also lives of many other people and living beings around you. At some point, you will create a perfect world around you. Not only for you perfect, but for everybody. And make a decision that this is your pay for this class. This is what you owe to us, the perfect world. And think about the fact that if it's true that everything you think, you say, and do really plant these great mental seeds, then you definitely can reach it. Go back to your breathing. Open your eyes.
Yeah, the pay for the class, you have to save the whole world. Can't I just pay you $20? The thing is that you're not going to be happy, right? Until everybody has been freed from suffering. And, everybody has to save their own world. I have to save my world. Has to save her world.
I'm on my way.
Every individual person has to do it. And you won't be happy until you have. And so, there's nothing else to do if it's possible. So, I mean, that's the question, right? Is it possible? Sometimes we feel powerless, right? I'm trying to get a promotion at work or take care of my family, right? How am I going to save the whole world? I'm tired. I just fed the kids and I'm tired. There's another, 8 billion people on the planet. But I do think it's possible. Because it's coming from you anyway, right? The world's a reflection of your mind. So change your mind. All you have to do is change your mind. It's not like you're going to have to go around and like make dinner for 8 billion people, right? Every day. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we are in Abhidharma Kosha, and this is a course how karma works. And today you will really start learning about karma. Because last class we had to make an overview for you, what we are doing and what will happen next. What you doing, Noah?
I wanted to see how many people we scared away yesterday.
Yeah. Come every day because Bill is watching. Who's there?
So
Yeah. So I was thinking that it is important to tell you that don't try to read available translations because they are all almost equally bad. Geshe Michael says that there was one French translation that was okay.
yeah, he said it was good.
Yeah, otherwise don't try to understand this out of other translations. And if you remember, we were talking about these 8 sections of the book, and first 3 was about everything that exists, like how we perceive it, who perceives it, and then logically they come to the point, why do we perceive what we perceive, why we see things that exist, why do we have that many different creatures that are described in the chapter 3. They describe all the different worlds, all the different creatures, atomic particles, subatomic particles, planets, galaxies, everything is in the third chapter. Then I think this is the most important, the most famous phrase, right? Like the opening line of the fourth chapter. And
Yeah, it's pretty famous.
very famous. And in Tibetan, it's, you remember?
What, Lele?
Lele Jikten
Lele Jikten
Natso
Natsoki.
Kia.
Yeah, okay.
Lele Jikten Natso Kia. Very famous.
Before we get on to the phrase, I want to say a little bit about Geshe Michael and his translations. I, at one point, as we were going through this, I'm like, well, okay, he's saying some pretty fantastic things. I went to his quiet retreat teaching, and he said, well, you don't have to die. Well, okay, that's kind of crazy, right? Like I studied this in college. They weren't telling me I didn't have to die.
You mean this Eastern philosophy?
Well, yeah, he's saying that, like Geshe Michael in the quiet retreat teaching that I went
Which
to.
was like which year?
Like
2000?
2001. I don't remember which one. I hadn't met Ken Rinpoche yet. So it was like, it must have been 2001, must have been the fall of 2001. It must have been the third quiet retreat teaching. I'd have to go back and look. But he said, you don't have to die. I'm like, well, okay.
Slow down.
Yeah. Like, well, that's a little crazy, right? There's 8 billion people on the planet, and I think most of them are expecting to die.
At the very least, you probably could say that you don't know people who overlived your grandmother.
Yeah, right. Like at 104. There's a lot of time after 104, right? And I went to Ken Rinpoche, and I was like, well, Geshe Michael's teaching things that I haven't seen anywhere else. I'd read other translations. I had a professor at the University of Virginia. He's teaching things that are different than what I've heard. And I go, is it true? Because, Ken Rinpoche was the Rampa Geshe, one of 5 in the world at the time that had been taught strictly in Tibet.
Larampa Geshe.
Larampa, the highest Geshe, right? And so, he was as authoritative a person on the planet to ask about Tibetan Buddhism. And so I asked him, well, is what Geshe Michael is teaching authentic? And he looked at me, and it was kind of funny because Ken Rinpoche was a little fierce.
A little scary.
I wasn't scared. He was more like a granddad, but he was powerful, right? And he looked at me like I was a moron. He goes, so yeah, it is what Geshe Michael.
Say what he said.
Well, is Geshe Michael, is what Geshe Michael is teaching authentic? And he goes, every word of it. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a pretty good reference.
Yeah. Wait, I will get one more reference.
And so that was very helpful, frankly, as you're going through these ACI courses. You don't get the whole book, right? You don't have 14 generations of Dalai Lamas in your city to tell you, the 14th generation of the Dalai Lama in your city to tell you, well, this is accurate. And so Geshe Michael has gone through and he pulls out sections of these books. And then you wonder, well, is he manipulating this for a specific worldview? Does he have it right? And maybe he's painting a different picture than what the Tibetans had, or what the Buddha had, or what Jason Kappa had. No. As I've gone through it, I have a lot of confidence that what he's doing is giving you the tools you need to be able to read the big book someday, right? So, and if you read other people's translations, if you read some of the other stuff that gets done, you don't have to be able to read the original Tibetan to see that Geshe Michael's writing in clear English and the other people aren't. It's
I mean,
and
they try to adjust their translation with the time, but they're very slow.
it's yeah. It I forget what I was going to say. His are clearly the best that's being done. It's dramatically, and I've never heard anybody. He's been criticized for lots of different things by lots of different people. Never heard anybody ever criticize him for the quality of his translations. Never heard anybody criticize accurately the organization of the ACI courses. They're good. And having been to Saramay and met the monks, he's extremely well respected there at the monastery.
And you have everything that an average monk will study at Saramay. You have everything here.
Well, you're not going to study it in the depth as a Geshe. Geshe Michael's called it a baby Geshe. We're not going to ask you to memorize text, and you don't have 20 years to, attend 4 hours of class a day. But if he has said that if you know the material in the 18 ACI courses, you know the material that a Geshe would be responsible for on his Geshe exam.
Yeah.
So
I want to add that this is coming from Tibetan and Indian root, right? From Eastern philosophy, coming from Buddha Shakyamuni, that is called in Tibetan inner change. But maybe not for many people it is interesting. Like Bill is not interested at all in Tibetan culture. Why he was attracted? This is I specifically.
Oh, you don't like that? I like this one.
That's fine. You can leave it. We are fighting for two things with Bill here. First, who should sit like closer to the center, and second, what view? Because I like
you like to see the chat.
Okay. And Bill like to see like everybody. So maybe not for everybody it is interesting, like Tibetan, Indian root, Eastern philosophy. But Bill has no connection to the culture. Like I'm okay with any culture, Tibetan or Indian. I don't care that much. I'm impressed by different people, different cultures. But even if let's say you are Christian and you think, okay, these guys are weird. They're talking about the death is an option. Like who talks like that, right? It's weird. It's strange. But then I have it here in Russian. I think you probably can recognize what this is. It's the New Testament. Whatever your language is, you can find it and read St. John, New Testament, chapter 8, verse 51, where Jesus say, "Truly tell you, who will follow my word will never see the death." So the funny thing is, if he was doing it in the church, in the temple, and guess what they did to him? A little bit later, 59. Then they took stones to.
What do you mean we don't have to die? We're going to kill you.
Yeah, they took stones trying to hit him, and he left the temple. So people get upset when you tell them that they don't have to die. And Jesus had probably a very similar experience. So
There's, it's me again. I came up from a bit of a Christian background, and so it's really, I think one of the great gifts this body of knowledge is going to have is it will help people understand Christianity and understand why it's a valid worldview. But
okay,
let's get so. But
let's get
this is all related to the first line that we wanted to that we started off with, the Lele Jikten Nantok Ki. So that's why is it possible to save the world? Because of this line.
Yeah, why do you have in front of you, right? Why your world is as you see it in the first place.
Yeah, as you see it, right?
This line explains it very clearly.
Yeah, because deeds cause the multitude of worlds. It's like a dream that you were dreaming, right? We lost it.
No.
Oh, okay, there it goes. There we go. I sometimes you say something powerful and it'll blip out, right?
Lele Jikten Natsokie. And guys, we love Tibetan because we study it. Strange enough, two first words are not same. One is le, which is karma, or this is the word for deeds. And the second le is actually a preposition, postposition actually. It's le, out of karma. Jikten is a word for the world. In Tibetan, in Sanskrit, it will be lokta. And unfortunately for us, it means that something that will get destroyed, place that will get destroyed, destructible world or destructible place. Natsok is multitude, and kie is to come out or to be born, also same word. So out of karma, out of deeds, multitude of worlds come. This is the literal meaning.
And I will say, since we're talking about Tibetan, the culture, take it or leave it. I love the alphabet. I love the words. I love the language. It's super logical. It doesn't have all the exceptions that English has. It's spelled the way it sounds. It's a beautiful language, really, really beautiful. And if you're inspired to learn it yourself, Rebecca runs a program in the fall where you can go to the monastery and learn the language like we learned it. So we'll have that's out there, and we won't put up a link at the moment, but just know that, like, if you're interested, we'll give you the information and you can go to the.
It is not for free, because the whole idea is that we have to make donation to the monastery.
Yeah.
But if you will be interested, we can help you to get there.
Yeah. So so if you're inspired to learn the language, it's possible to go to the monastery and do what we did.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, by the way, you're always welcome to write your questions in the chat, because this is why I'm fighting with Bill to see the chat, to see your questions.
Are we able to read the questions after the class is over? Can we go back through it and read the questions?
Yeah.
Because we close it down and then I never see the window after that.
Yeah, of course, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so why to study this? Why do we need this opening line, right? Because we have a problem. We will die, all of us.
Yeah, all kinds of problems.
Small dying problem. And other, before the death, we also have some minor problems like cancer or like the war.
Lonely,
I mean, comparing to
no
the
money.
death, no money, lonely, yeah, bankruptcy, uh, crazy,
People.
crazy people around, etc. So, if you will really understand ACI 5, you will have a pretty good idea how you can change it. Okay, so probably we have to say that there is a misunderstanding of what karma is, and this is the movement of the mind, right? And what it motivates. We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, right? So, the three worldviews, things are random. There's an outside creator God that's doing it to us, or that you're creating it yourself, which is deeds cause the multitude of the worlds. And then Master Vasubandhu is going to go into in this chapter a discussion of why and why a creator God didn't do it and why it's not coming from some random source. And I thought this was interesting. I hadn't really thought about it in a while. For me personally, the biggest problem with a creator God was that, who would create this world? If you were omnipotent, what kind of loving God would create, create this world, right? It's
Yeah, I mean, if you are not all loving, right?
right.
Imagine you are just normal person. You are not sadist.
Yeah.
You are not you're just neutral. I mean, you're just a little bit selfish, just a normal human being. Would you create such a world?
Yeah, even if you were just a little bit good, right? You wouldn't do this to people, right? You wouldn't. Who creates a world where you lose everything if you're omnipotent and omniscient, right? But then Master Vasubandhu, he approaches it from a different way, which I thought this was brilliant. I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about this issue.
I also want to say that Bill and I, we are coming from totally different cultures. And for him, the difficult idea was to understand, because he was raised mainly with the idea of the creator who created the world. I was raised with the opposite idea that everything is random and there was nothing, and then I was born, and it was weird, but I could not do anything about it because we have these big ideas. If we learn them in the childhood, we have very difficult time to do something about them, and we really can only apply our logic and check every single one of them to see if it's true or not.
And to be fair, in the United States growing up, there's kind of this odd, unexamined view that it's both random and God. That both science and Christianity have the explanation. But then what Master Vasubandhu is saying is that it couldn't be a creator God because time is linear. But things are unfolding for people one at a time. If you're creating this, right? If you're going to create this world, why wouldn't it have been done?
And if you are omniscient and omnipotent and all loving, on top of it.
Well, and you don't even, if you created it, I mean, you have all the power in the world. Why wouldn't you just create it at once? Why wouldn't it have all come into existence at one time? Why is it unfolding at pace at one moment after the other? It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? And I don't know that in my mind that this is a proof that a God didn't do it. But it's sure a pretty interesting question, right? I mean, yeah, but what's he waiting for? She waiting for? What are they waiting for?
Yeah. Oh, okay. They are testing us. Okay. Let them test adults, right? Why children are dying from cancer? Like one of my friends lost their child like several days after she was born. She got acute leukemia, and then she died within like a couple years of it. Like, was she also tested? I mean, it's not fair to test children when they are not aware of themselves even.
I find it really offensive when somebody tells me that a loving God is testing people with this. I find it really offensive. It's a complete lack of understanding of how much suffering some people are going through, and it's offensive for people to tell me that a God did that to people. You know, it. So I don't buy that at all. In fact, it was the sign for me that I needed to go look for some other answer.
Yeah, and it is called actually, even in Christianity, the difficult question, right?
Well, no, in Christianity, it's called theodicy is the technical name for the problem. And in the academic community, the hard question is consciousness. Like, why are we conscious?
Oh, yeah, theodicy here.
Yeah.
It's called theodicy, meaning priests that are really good priests, that studied a lot, they practiced a lot. When you ask them why the loving God created this, they say, we don't know.
And the good priest will say
The good
they don't
priests.
know.
Yeah. And then why I say that we were raised in different cultures, like because there were basically three different beliefs at the time of Master Vasubandhu, but don't think that these are beliefs that just old and are not important for us anymore, because they represent three main ideas people can have to try to explain why they see the reality as they see, how it was created. Like one, as Bill said, it was a creator, like a person who created it intentionally, and the person is kind of unchanging, and nobody gave birth to him or her, but they started everything. They were uncaused, by caused everything, right? So one idea is a person, personified force. Another idea is non-personified. So same exact idea that there was a cause or primal energy that started everything, just they don't think it was a person. It was just non-personal. And it is called Tsovo in like Wanchuk. This is what they call the creator. Then there is Tsovo, the primal energy. And there is third thing that is kind of similar to Tsovo, like unchanging cause. There was something like a Big Bang.
Yeah.
That there was nothing before, and then out of a sudden there is something, right? Or everything comes from.
And the problem with the Big Bang is that, okay, so you had some kind of, like point that exploded and created everything. What created the point? If it was there at one moment and then different at the next, well, what created the moment before that, right? Like, why was it stable at one moment and then exploding at the next? What happens? And then
basically there was no time also, by the way.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a bit problematic, and then so
yeah. So these three,
and then again, Yeah, we'll leave it at that. It's a big conversation. You could create an academic career just out of this subject.
Mhm.
So it's interesting.
I think I want to say that I was thinking a lot about this other possibilities. I mean, imagine I'm not creating my world. What are other possibilities? And basically, because I'm also consulting people and uh, try to understand every time how I can explain this worldview in an easy way, you know, simple. So I came to this idea that mostly I know that I cannot work with people if they do not think they influence the reality, right? I mean, first, you need to decide, do you have any influence on your reality or not, right? So is it completely external, what's going on, and you are just a victim? Or you have some influence, right? And external, you may think that it is not intentional or intentional. If external, not intentional, it will be random, right? It will be the Big Bang. There was no intention, it just happened somehow. And you are not playing any role. Or intentional, then we are talking about some person or person basically. That's it. Otherwise, if you influence it, I caught you.
Well, and this is this is an intellectual debate. People could take one side, people could take the other. But where it's coming from is individuals have meditated and seen it directly. So it's like, well,
and you can do it.
Like, are there such a thing as eyeglasses? Well, yeah, I've seen them, right? I mean, you can argue that there aren't, but I've seen them. It's exactly the same thing. Do deeds cause the multitude of worlds? Well, I've seen the process directly, right? Or the individuals who are writing these textbooks have seen the process directly, and so you know you can doubt, but then you can also see it yourself. So it's not like it's significant, right?
Just let's briefly, we should tell you how you can do it. You have to study these courses, meditate, and then at some level of meditation, you can prove it to yourself. You can see it directly with, I mean, it's not see, it's perceive, right? Directly, direct perception. I can see comment from Anastasia that only this knowledge explains explain why children suffer.
Yeah.
And Anastasia, I know Anastasia, she is a medical doctor also like me, and this is, to be honest, what brought me to this knowledge, because I was working with very early age children, and I could not explain it to myself, like why exactly same age kids have so different conditions.
And again, it's an acorn, right? Some small act of some ignorance creates an oak tree. So it's not like some child has cancer. It's not like that child was evil. It's that somewhere, boy, to be honest, you could say at a baby level that child had
That past.
had something small in their past life that had grown horribly into cancer in the next life on a bigger level.
Yeah, but would the child be innocent? I mean, the child didn't do anything this lifetime, right?
Yeah, childhood.
Of course, they are. On a bigger scale, they did.
Well,
on this life scale, they didn't.
But on a bigger scale, if you're seeing a child with cancer, that's part of your world. That's part of your perception. And so ultimately, we are each individually responsible for all of the details in our life, including the problems that you see other people are having. That's a reflection. Whatever you see in the world is a reflection of your own mind. So anyway,
okay, let's go. Vasubandhu fights these three beliefs again. Unchanging cause caused everything. Gyutakpa, like a big bang. Tsovo, primary energy that is like it's not creator being because it's not a person, right? It's just primary energy. And third is a creator, Vanchuk. And again, we do not say that the God does not exist. Imagine they do exist. You cannot blame them for what's going on with you. Okay.
Next question. Okay, so the two most basic types of karma or deeds are movement of the mind, which is mental karma, and what it motivates. So here in this school, they're going to break down karma into mental karma first, the things you think, and then what it motivates, which are going to be your words and actions. And so they're saying that mental karma comes first here in this school. And which explains why even what you're thinking counts as karma. It's not like your thoughts don't count, because your thoughts are a cause for a mental seed that's going to grow and produce its own result. So even your thoughts count.
Yeah. They also sometimes call it motivating karma and motivated by karma. So like your thinking is motivating, and what you say and do is motivated. If you want to remove suffering in your world, you have to come to real intellectual understanding of what created it, right, in the first place. Then you try to stick to this worldview and to change what you say and what you do in the first place, and then work with your mind also.
And, it can be a little depressing if you start really understanding, oh my gosh, this world is a reflection of my mind, right? There's some great things and there's some horrible things, but oh my gosh, like I created the horrible things.
It's true.
It's true. But it's also true that if you created the horrible things that you're seeing, then you have the power to create something different, right? And that's the whole point of this. It's not hopeless. You can change things. In fact, if you eventually you will, inevitably, like all suffering is coming from ignorance, and inevitably wisdom is going to win out over ignorance, and eventually you will defeat it.
Yeah. There is also one thing, like once you understand that, okay, lele jikten natsukie, everything that I see basically comes from my deeds, and I have created all the bad things that I can see. If it makes me depressed, then I plant even worse seeds. So please, I know we have new people. Maybe you are just now realizing that you really influence your reality by really, I mean, create 100% of it, right? So you are also prohibited from being depressed on top of it, because you will get it even worse. You will make it even worse. Depressed by the environment. It's a big question, but basically, if you really are serious about changing your reality, then independently on what's going on in your environment, you will be happy because your environment is not great, because you do not like what's going on. You tried already being unhappy in the past. This is the result. You want to have brighter future, then this is it requires a special training, right? You need to train yourself to be happy when bad things happen, and not to pretend, but really try hard to find the spark of joy. I know it's hard. Ask me why I know. Because this is what we practice on this path. And if everything is so bad, then find your happiness is your survival, because this will change the seeds that will be ripening. Next question, I think. So
this was an interesting moment, like in the 18 ACI courses, that this next question and the discussion around it kind of stuck out to me because it seemed odd. He talks about there being a type of karma called communicating and non-communicating. And so communicating karma is the example of somebody in church praying. Okay, so then you can see that person, they're in church, they're down on their knees, they're praying, and hopefully they're praying for something good. You don't know.
Hopefully not. I pray him to die as soon as he can. Yeah. So you can see out of what's going on that a person does something great. I don't know. Maybe somebody is teaching the class. This is a communicating karma, like his body and speech communicates to me that Bill is doing something really great, really kind, right?
And then there's the idea of non-communicating karma, which and he spent almost half the class talking about it. If you go back and listen to the original New York class, which was interesting. The class was an hour and 7 minutes long, and at like 42 minutes, he starts talking about 40 minutes, 42 minutes. He starts talking about non-communicating karma. And what that is that if you take a vow that
like you promise to do something,
then there is like this, he kept using the word aura to describe it, but there's like this glow that you give off that's indicating that you've done something, and it can be either positive or negative. So for example, if you take monk's vows and you're vowing to save every living being, then you would have like a positive aura, right? And I'm not New Age at all, so auras couldn't, and then in the class it's funny because there's this lady who said, oh, there's this camera that can take a picture of your aura, and it's like not really interested, right?
I people who can see the aura, so for me it was interesting.
Well, I do think that might be possible. I would be open to that idea that people might be able to see the aura, and so there's positive, and there's also, which was interesting, a negative aura. Like if you vowed to be,
for example, to kill somebody, right? Or to revenge somebody.
Well, and the example he uses in class.
Like to kill somebody?
Yeah. And so, okay. Like if like you vow to be a butcher, right? Then, say, I'm going to, kill animals for a living,
Yeah.
then there's like a negative karma that comes with it.
Yeah, or like
A negative communicating karma.
like Italians, they're famous, right? They would announce the vendetta, like
Sure, or like
kill the family.
yeah, probably a mafioso, right? Like, somebody in the mafia, like I vow to,
Yeah. So a person can get this negative glow, right, out of them, and it actually has 5 qualities. This non-communicating karma. Next slide. The first one is it is possessed by a person even if they are distracted. Like let's say a monk took, or maybe you have bodhisattva vows, right? So they say that you have them even you are distracted and not really focusing on them. The ceremony is over, right? There are no monks around anymore. He's just, I don't know, like we really love the monks at ceremony. They're so sweet. They are happy, and they're serving, and like small things. I mean, you ask them if they have a box, they disappear for 15 minutes. A monk disappears for 15 minutes and he's working at the store at the monastery. There is a line, already of people, and
yeah,
he's looking for the perfect box for me because I asked him about the box.
yeah. But we walked into a store, yeah, and they don't have much in the stores. And the monk didn't know us. It wasn't one of the monks in the house where they knew we donated money. Well, we're just two foreigners there in the store. And yeah, and we even needed a cardboard box to mail back all the books that we had.
Yeah.
And
like this one.
and it's India. You can't just go to Home Depot and buy cardboard boxes. And so, she needed sturdy boxes that wouldn't fall apart. Uh, and he did. He took like 15 minutes to find the best boxes for us, which is a very monk type of thing to do.
Yeah. And I made a test because the next day I realized I need one more box because I have too many books to send. So I went to another store, and there was another monk, same type of store, just, some food, some, I don't know, like pens,
toothpaste, bags of potato chips, not much more.
Notebooks, yeah.
Incense.
Lots of incense.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, they have like incense and toothpaste and not much more.
So another monk, and they ask again about, do you happen to have a box I need to send to the United States? And he again disappears for 15 minutes. And again, it's the best box he could find, like really.
Yeah, right.
So they have their vows. Monks, even they are not at the ceremony anymore, and they may be distracted, but still. Then there was a big discussion. What if the mind is stopped? And in this school, by the mind is stopped, they do not mean to stop mind completely. By the way, this is a big wrong idea running in a lot of circles of some meditators, yoga studios, and some psychotherapy approaches that you can stop your mind.
Yeah.
Bad idea, completely wrong. You can never stop your mind. It will be always looking for an object, always busy with something.
Yeah.
So
you can slow it way down. You can't stop it.
Ask Bill how he knows. He did his 3-year retreat. And if somebody knows how to slow down the mind, if he would be able to stop it, he would.
I wouldn't go so far to say that, but I do think that I'm I think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So in meditation, you still have it. This is the second idea. Then third idea, third quality is you cannot have it neutral. It should be either good or bad, either virtuous or non-virtuous.
Yeah. So you can be a butcher or a monk. Either way, you get this like aura.
Has something to do with your ethics. Are you kind to other people? You took vows or you took anti-vows? Like, I swear that I will kill this person, something like that. Fourth quality, it continues in the stream after the deed. You have finished doing what you are doing, but you still possess it in a constant stream. And the final quality is that one is actually very funny because it is physical.
Yeah, physical. Yeah, I thought that was odd. And not that it adds weight, right? It's not like somebody could sit on a super accurate and super super accurate scale and say, okay, well, he weighed 100 before he took the vow, and now he weighs 100.000001, right? Like, you're not going to be able to measure the weight, but they're still saying it's physical.
Yeah,
They
say it's like color or something. Like Geshe Michael says that the word aura is a pretty good word.
There are substances that are there are physical things that are more subtle than light, and so it's going to be something like that.
We were thinking, like, we had a big discussion, like 99% of our arguments with Bill, when Bill and we argue, is about the Dharma, is about these teachings. So we had a big debate yesterday why Geshe Michael was thinking that it is important to talk about this non-communicating karma, and we think that probably this is something that he can see.
Yeah, that was why did he spend half an hour on it? And then, having been around him for 25 years now, I would say that my personal guess, he's never said, well, because I can see it, but I would say it's probably because he could see it, that he was probably aware of it in other people. At this point, he had reached shamatha. He had a high level of meditation because he'd had the direct perception of emptiness. And I don't have a problem saying that. I'm not saying you have to believe it, but it's obvious to me, having been around him, that he'd actually done it. And as evidence, I would show you the works that he's translated, and the way he's lived his life. He's lived his life the way that an arya would live their life if they understood cause and effect. And so I think he'd seen it, and I think he was talking about it because it was interesting to him.
Yeah. So what happens?
And one more thing, that this is apparently only the Abhidharma school, only the lowest school accepts this. But there it is. And when they say it takes the great elements as its cause, everything has some amount of the four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. And so it's just the proportion that you have it in that determines the qualities.
Yeah. I remember I had some difficulty with this idea because I'm a medical doctor, right? I was studying medicine for 10 years in my life, and I was working as a medical doctor. Then I was working for big pharmaceutical companies as a medical director, running clinical research, clinical trials, and but it's not actually, they're not talking here about physical things, right? They are talking about qualities of material things, of physical things. And it's just a way to look at things. You can say, I don't know, chemical elements. You can take different perspective about physical qualities, not chemical qualities, and say that anything that you can see is a little bit solid, a little bit flexible, a little bit warm, and a little bit movable, right? So when something is warm, they call it the fire element, or like less fire element, then it will be called like if something is flexible, like or liquid, then it's water element. And then if something is movable, it's wind element or air element. And if something is solid, like I don't know, like the phone is solid, right? Then it's earth element. That's it. It just when they say take great elements as its causes, this is what they mean. It is physical. That's it. Was something that I wanted to say, that if you are serious about working on your world, then the most important is you have to put efforts to intellectually understand these things first, as much as you can. Then if you understand 90% and 10% you misunderstand, then you delay 10% your progress, right? So try to do as much as you can to understand these things. And this is why we have this lower school and higher schools, because there is a reason why you hear that there are exactly 4.5 different schools, because every single school of thought has ideas that you need to work on, take something and refute something, and the next school will help you with this.
How we do?
We are doing great, I think.
Trying to
Almost
keep people
there.
Trying to keep people at an hour, since we had such a long class yesterday. Normally, we don't want to do 2-hour classes. We know that was a lot, and so we want to make this a pleasant experience and not just a grinding one.
Yeah. I think the main, probably to conclude the class, what is the main idea? Like, how does it change your life if you understand that lele, jikt, and natsokie?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing with, I don't know, your yelling boss, or with the politicians you do not like, or with the news that you do not like, right?
Right. Yeah, deeds cause the multitude of worlds. So for me, and I think for anybody, it's hope, right? Like you can change this, and it can be a little overwhelming when you first realize that like I made this mess. I'm not just I'm not just an innocent person wandering through a world of very mixed results. Great things, horrible things, but
All of them.
all of them, and but it's a message of hope that you have the power to change things.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when, I don't know, we have a very common example of a yelling boss in our classes, right? And basically, it means when somebody is hurting you, you really do what the other guy told you, not yell back and give the other cheek, right?
Yeah, turn the other cheek.
It's a bit more complicated than that, but you do not yell back because you remember, oh, if he's yelling at me, I probably yelled at someone else before. And this is how you use this knowledge, right? That you create this thing happening to you with your body, speech, and mind in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If you understand these things intellectually and then put it into practice and perceive the emptiness directly, then you can stop your death.
Mm-hmm.
We have several questions, and also we would like to thank all the volunteers because you are amazing. Thank you, translators. I hope that today we were not speaking fast.
Too fast? That's the end of class. If you want to go, you can go. Do you want to stick around and answer questions?
We can answer a couple. We had a couple questions. So I want to say that we always need volunteers.
Mhm.
If you want to plant great seeds, you can join and be a volunteer. We are also volunteers because we are not paid for these classes.
Yeah.
And if you want to thank us, we don't need your money, but the ACI program does need.
Mhm.
We have 30-30-30 program when you can donate $30 every month, and it keeps ACI going because it's a non-profit organization.
And the people who, if you want to contribute, also, can we advertise? No,
Not today.
Okay, I can't advertise that.
Not today.
We're not allowed to use ACI to advertise to raise money for other good worthy projects.
We can, but not today.
Okay, we won't.
Yeah. So next class will be about types of deeds and motivation, which is like deeper in the karma, and then divisions and results of karmic seeds.
And again, if you want to learn Tibetan, Rebecca Vinacore has the program, the overseas program. Isn't that what they call it? OSP? Isn't that what OSP stands for?
Overseas.
Overseas. It comes from overseas.
Comes from overseas.
Which is a reference to a Russian movie. You can learn Tibetan. You can go to the monastery. There's some number of people they're willing to accept. Frankly, I think some number of people they're willing to accept.
Yeah. Okay. And let me answer two questions we have. First, how and when the mental karma is being activated? Like a child, when they see the pen, they may not know that this is a pen. It's a long story, but one with like a short phrase. There is a period of time as a seed is being activated. We think that this is because of other people, that the mom came and told him like, this is the pen. But you probably can imagine you can do the same to the dog and there will be the result will not be same, right? You cannot really teach the dog to write, and you can teach your child.
And maybe when you do the action, it's planted instantly, but then the result can be anywhere from like a second later to eons, and the idea is that if you have the seeds for a pen in your mind, it must have been in there in the past also. And then because your lives are beginningless, which frankly, that's one of the challenging ideas for me, is that that your mind stream is beginningless. So in beginningless time, you've got the seeds for pretty much everything. So if you have the seeds, if a child has the seeds for a pen, it's coming from somewhere in there. And it's possible that a human wouldn't necessarily have the seeds for a pen, right? I mean, you could imagine
200 years ago.
200 years ago, you could have shown somebody this, and pen wouldn't have come to their mind.
Or like give $1 million to a prehistorical person.
Yeah, right.
Thanks a lot.
Well, and there's even, there's that island that's near India.
Better this thing because you can, like maybe.
Well, there's still like one island left on the planet where the people are uncontacted and they're not allowed to be contacted. It's an island off of India, and so they don't have any contact with the outside world by law. India decided to protect them, and I mean, you could hand those people, in the modern world, you could hand them a phone, and they'd probably just want to get rid of it. Or hand them $1 million cash, and they probably use it for tinder to light a fire, right? Because they don't have they have a different set of seeds than what we do.
Okay. One more thing is we are running groups to do homeworks together. You have it by your language, so stick around and it will be much more interesting than that. I promise. We have a couple more questions, so we can answer them next time, especially what to do with anger, right? When a person yells at you. That's a great question, and we will talk about it next time. Thank you. We're almost not late, and if we will have huge classes, we will ask to have 2 translators. Close your eyes. Think about the fact that you spent this hour with us trying to become better and help every single living being, and dedicate every single mental seeds that you have planted to see this world totally different when you will reach the point to become a being of light who does not suffer and does not have to die. Thank you. See you next Saturday, same time.
Thank you.